Hey everybody, this is author Katie Cross recording a quick video for you to answer a question from a reader from the beauty of my back porch. It is so amazing in Montana. It's spring, it's green, and it's lush. I'll even give you guys a little sneak peek of where I live. That's my view, and that's not even the side that has the national forest, which is really cool. Okay, so Andy wrote in. Andy always messages me after she finishes every book with lots of really great questions. And I wanted to share my answer to some of these questions for all of you on YouTube so that you could share in the goodness. So I'll do a quick video for each question so you can get through them really quickly, and then you can decide what ones to read or listen to. So Andy's first question: can the other goddesses use their elements like prana to see past events or to learn things? She says she remembers Dea Silva being able to do that with the trees, and she's wondering if the desert, the goddess of the desert, who is Serena, can do that with the sand, and if the desert of the goddess, who is Selse, can do that with the rocks. The short answer is yes. So Prana has specifically, over the eons of her life, trained the water to hold the memories so that she can read it and know what's going on anywhere. So fresh water, seawater, any kind of water will hold on to the memories that Prana can then access and use for her gain. For example, Selse in the mountains could do the same thing with rocks, right? So she can reach out into her rocks, sort of fill them, and be able to use them to her advantage. Same thing with Dea Silva in the trees. The important distinction to notice here is that goddesses are distinctly separate from the things that they lord over, right? So Dea Silva is in the forest, she is in the trees, she is part of them, but the trees are separate from her. So if all of Leadham Wood were to die, Dea Silva would still exist, but the trees would not. So the goddesses can kind of fill their creations. Like Dea Silva can be in the trees and inhabit them if she desires, but they are separate from her. So they're kind of inseparable in some ways. If Dea Silva were to completely withdraw from the forest, then Leadham Wood would use that sentience. It would just be a forest and it would be more subject to decay. As large as it is and as magical as it is, Leadham Wood would never survive as it stood without Dea Silva, especially those ginormous trees that span houses and houses and houses and would take eons to encompass. Those are all because of the magic. Same with Selse in the mountains. She can inhabit any of the mountains. She can move within them, and she can kind of bend them to her will and move them around if she wants. But she exists separate from the mountains. And the same with Serena and the desert sands, right? So one other question I get about goddesses that I want to answer in this quick movie is that they have bodies just like us. So we learn that in the Prana short story. It's the novella number 6 in the Network Saga. The goddesses have separate bodies, but they can mold those bodies to be invisible, to inhabit their element like water, to whatever it is they need. So Prana existed under the water in the stream for weeks at a time while she was listening to the reports of her water. She does that because their bodies aren't dependent on the same factors that ours are, like breathing and blood and that sort of thing, but they do have the same corporeal form, which also kind of goes into questions about the gods and demigods and whether the sisters have demigods. So to wrap up questions about goddesses and gods from Andy after reading these books, yes, goddesses could have children as well. They just have chosen not to, at least as far as we know. And that is something that people are constantly emailing me about. Do the goddess sisters have demigods? That is not something I'm going to speak on right now, but could potentially be a book in the future. Of course, I'm going to leave that door wide open and let you guys guess because I have no official answer on that. And yes, the demigod children are created in the same way any human or witch would be created, between the gods and the mortals that they use as their partners and the mothers. So hopefully that answers all your questions about gods and goddesses for now. Of course, if you have any other questions anytime, just shoot me an email at katie@kcrosswriting.com. And if you haven't read any of my books yet and you want to learn more about this fantasy world, just go to katiecrossbooks.com and there's a little box at the top you can put your email and get my first book for free. I love you all. Goodbye.